So the topic that we are going to discuss today is concept of vapor pressure, and it's there on your screen. Concept of vapor pressure. In this particular video, mainly we will talk about vapors and gases. What are the difference between the vapors and gases? Then a very important terminology as far as JEE exam is concerned, that is concept of vapor pressure. What are the factors which affect vapor pressure? And very important, how vapor pressure is dependent on temperature. Temperature dependency, how vapor pressure is dependent on temperature. So first of all, let's try to understand. So can anyone explain what is vapor, what is gases, and what is the basic difference between vapor and gases? Can anyone? So first let me define what is gas. Gas is a state of matter which cannot be condensed how high the temperature is applied. You might have heard one term called critical temperature, right? So above critical temperature, the gas cannot be liquefied. You might have heard. Okay. What is vapor? Vapor is also a special area of gas only. But any gas below the critical temperature which can be liquefied, which can be solidified, is nothing but vapor. So gas below the critical temperature is vapor, and above the critical temperature is always the gaseous phase, where how high the temperature, how high the pressure you apply, it cannot be liquefied. Although it can be converted to supercritical fluid, but cannot be compressed, cannot be liquefied directly. Okay. So if someone asks you what is vapor, simply in one word say gas below the critical temperature is vapor. Below critical temperature is called vapor. I hope it is clear. All the gases below the critical temperature is vapor. Air is always gas because it's very tough to liquefy that. Okay. I hope it is clear. So can I say one very important statement? Vapor, gas. All vapors are gases, but all the gases are not vapors. I hope it is also clear. All the vapors are vapor, Venn diagram, and it is gas. A gas below critical temperature is my vapor. Understand the concept of vapor pressure. What is vapor pressure? But before that, let me take a beaker in which I have taken some pure volatile solvent. Volatile solvent. What do we mean by volatile solvent? Let me explain you first. The substance which has a tendency to change the state, like water. A very simple pure volatile solvent, right? So I have taken simply, let us assume I have taken water in a container. I have closed the lid. बंद कर दिया मैंने इसे, ठीक है? Now let us examine the cases. In kinetic theory of gases, we have studied that the gaseous molecules collide with each other, right? Randomly. Same, the liquid molecules also collide with each other. And the collision is very frequent and random. Okay. Now let us consider a molecule at the bulk and the molecule at the surface. The molecule at the bulk, here, this is my molecule which is there at the bulk, is experiencing intermolecular force of attraction from all the sides, right? So can I say it is having a balanced force of attraction? Balanced force of attraction, right? Force of attraction. Now let us consider a molecule at the top. It is experiencing intermolecular force from inside, but there is no intermolecular force from the outside. So can I say this is having an unbalanced force of attraction? Force of attraction. Which one will be more energetic? The molecule at the bulk or the molecule at the surface. Definitely, which is having unbalanced force of attraction will be more energetic. So can I say the surface molecule will be relatively more energetic as compared to the bulk molecule, right? Now, just now we have started that the molecules collide with each other, right? Suppose a molecule is there at the surface and some of the inside molecule comes and hits this molecule. Can I say it will impart its potential energy or it will impart its momentum to the molecule present at the surface? Because of that, the energy of the molecule present at the surface will increase and it will leave the surface. As soon as it leaves the surface, it will change the state. It will get converted from liquid to H2O liquid to H2O gas. But it's a real gas. Now what will happen? It will start moving, and during this process, it will collide with each other and will also collide with the walls of the container, right? Now tell me one thing, whether this collision will be elastic or inelastic. The collision will be totally inelastic, right? And we know that there is energy loss in the inelastic collision. So as soon as these molecules will undergo subsequent collision, it will start continuously losing its energy, right? A time will come when it has lost sufficient amount of energy, it will again enter into the bulk. Now you can see the molecules are entering into the bulk. Which molecules will enter into the bulk? Those molecules which have undergone sufficient collision and has lost maximum of its energy, right? So can I say, as soon as the molecule leaves the surface, the process of evaporation will start, right? And initially only evaporation will be there. With the progress of time, now we have sufficient gaseous molecules in the beaker which is closed. Now these molecules will collide with each other, and during this process they are losing their energy and finally again entering into the liquid surface, entering into the bulk of the liquid surface, and they are undergoing the process of condensation. So after some time, the process of condensation will also start, right? You can see in the diagram, initially only vaporization is there. The liquid molecule is changing the state. It is getting converted to H2O gas, which is moving randomly. During this random process, they are colliding with each other. They are also colliding with the walls of the container, right? And after n number of collision, let us assume like this, it is finally entering into the bulk. Initially only vaporization. Now, in the diagram B, obviously I can say initially, since the rate of evaporation and the process of evaporation will be somewhat faster as compared to the condensation, because initially, means if we talk about initially, I will have very few gaseous molecules, but I am having large number of liquid molecules present at the surface. So which rate will be higher, evaporation rate or condensation rate? Can I say initially evaporation rate will be higher, but with the progress of time, the rate of condensation will also increase, right? And the time will come when the vaporization rate and the condensation rate will be the same. And I can say that at this particular time, phase equilibrium is achieved. Means the number of liquid molecule leaving the surface is same as the number of liquid gaseous molecules entering into the bulk. So the level of liquid at this equilibrium will now be constant. H2O liquid in equilibrium with H2O gas, when the rate of evaporation and the rate of condensation is same, right? A phase equilibrium is achieved. Now, let me define the term vapor pressure. At phase equilibrium, the pressure exerted by these gaseous molecules or these vapor molecules on the walls of the container as well as at the surface of the liquid is nothing but vapor pressure. So very important term, vapor pressure, will it be defined at any other condition? Not at all. Vapor pressure is only defined at equilibrium or phase equilibrium. At phase equilibrium, the pressure exerted by these vapors molecule on the surface as well as on the walls of the container is nothing but vapor pressure. I hope it is clear. If I plot the diagram, I can say rate versus time. Initially, I will have only evaporation because there is no gaseous vapor initially present. With the progress of time, the evaporation rate will somewhat decrease and the condensation rate will increase, and the time will be there when the rate of evaporation and the rate of condensation will be same. This is the equilibrium. This is my evaporation curve. Evaporation curve, and this is the condensation curve, right? My vapor pressure will be defined only at phase equilibrium. What is phase equilibrium? I hope it is also clear to you, right? Now, let us move. What are the factors which affect vapor pressure? And the first parameter is surface area. Will surface area have any role in the vapor pressure? Tell me. I am having two surface, one with two containers, one with the smaller surface area and the another one with the large surface area. You will tell me where I will have high vapor pressure. I am taking the same liquid at same temperature. The container is closed. The lid is closed, right? Now, which one will have or which one will exert high vapor pressure? Some of you may so say that the first one will exert higher vapor pressure or will have higher vapor pressure. But now let us understand. Vapor pressure is independent of surface area. Independent of surface area. Even you take a small beaker of 250 ml or you take a bigger beaker of 1000 liter, and if you are putting the same liquid at a particular fixed temperature, both the containers will have same vapor pressure, right? So why the vapor pressure does not depend on surface area? There is one term called fugacity, and this fugacity is basically the tendency to change the state, and this tendency to change the state simply depends on the mole fraction of solvent. Whether I am taking a smaller beaker or a larger beaker, if nothing is mixed, if it is a pure volatile solvent, can I say the mole fraction of solvent will be 1, right? And if nothing, so mole fraction of the solvent is 1, whether it is this case or this case. And since the mole fraction of the solvent is same, the tendency to change the state will be the same, even though you take a larger surface area or a smaller surface area, the tendency will not change. And since this tendency is not changing, the fugacity is not changing, the vapor pressure will be the same. Okay. Now the second parameter that is very important is intermolecular forces operating between solvent molecules. Okay. I'm having two solvent molecules. Okay. In one case, suppose I am taking water molecule, and another case I am having ROR, ether molecule. Okay, two solvents I have taken, one water and one ether. Can I say in case of water, there will be some hydrogen bonding operating between these water molecules, right? So the skipping tendency as these molecules, the intermolecular force of attraction between the molecule is very high. The skipping tendency of the molecule or the tendency to leave the surface will be very less, right? If the intermolecular force operating between the two different molecules is less, suppose these two molecules are not attracting each other to a much extent, can I say they are almost free to move. And if it is free to move, it can easily leave the surface area, right? And simply with as soon as it leaves the surface area, the phenomenon of evaporation will occur, condensation will occur, and we will define vapor pressure. So can I say a molecule with strong intermolecular force, or in the solvent molecule where there is a strong intermolecular force, the vapor pressure will be low. Where the intermolecular force is relatively weak, the vapor pressure will be high. Strong intermolecular force, intermolecular force between the molecules, vapor pressure low. Weak intermolecular force, weak IM4F intermolecular force, vapor pressure high. Why high vapor pressure? Tendency to leave the surface is high. Got it? The most important physical parameter which affects vapor pressure is temperature. How vapor pressure is temperature is basically shown in this graph. You will see it is a logarithmic relation. There is a logarithmic relation between vapor pressure and temperature. But first question that strikes my mind, how vapor pressure is dependent on temperature? We are seeing in this graph that with increase in the vapor pressure, with increase in the temperature, the vapor pressure is increasing, right? But how? Why this vapor pressure is dependent on temperature? Let's try to understand this. Initially, only I told you that vapor pressure is only defined at equilibrium. Let us take the example of H2O liquid in equilibrium with H2O gas. Okay. The active mass of pure liquid is taken as unity, whereas the active mass of gaseous particles, gaseous molecules are either the partial pressure or the concentration. Let's take the partial pressure. So it is the partial pressure. And obviously it will, since the beaker is closed and everything equilibrium condition is there, so some partial pressure will be there. And this is the equilibrium condition, T equilibrium. Let us assume it is P. Okay. So now let's define Kp. Kp is active mass of PH2O gas divided by active mass of liquid, H2O liquid. Okay. H2O liquid. And what is the active mass of H2O liquid? It's taken as unity. So it is the partial pressure P upon 1. Kp is equals to P. And what is P? This P is basically the pressure exerted by H2O gas at equilibrium, which is nothing but my Vp. This is only my Vp. So Kp is equals to Vp, right? And we know that equilibrium constant depends only and only on temperature. Since Kp is dependent on temperature, the vapor pressure will be dependent on temperature. Right? I hope it is clear. Pakka? Chalo, आगे बढ़ते हैं. Now, the second thing that strikes my mind, how this vapor pressure is dependent on temperature. Why reason? Now how it is dependent, in which function it is, how it is related. Relation between vapor pressure and temperature. Okay. We might have studied one equation, del G equals to V del P minus S del T. I hope you have gone through this equation in thermodynamics. And at equilibrium, we know that del G equals to 0. Right? So can I say at equilibrium, and vapor pressure is defined only at equilibrium, so I'm only taking the equilibrium condition, right? So V del P will be equals to S del T. Is this clear? Del P by del T is equals to S upon V. And this S can be written as del H by T. I hope it is clear. Del H reversible vaporization, since liquid energy. So del H vaporization I will mention upon T, and this V for an ideal gas can be written as nRT by P into V can be written as nRT by P, right? I hope these things you are able to grasp. I hope this is clear. Del P by del T is equals to del S by V, and S is simply del H by T. Okay, so now let's rearrange it, and then we can write del P by del T equals to del H into P divided by nRT square, right? So can I just write it like this? Del P by P equals to del H into del T by nRT square. Just integrate it. Instead of writing del, we can write it as dP by P. So dP by P equals to del H by nR dt upon T square. Ln P equals to minus del H by nR 1 by T plus C. This is how my vapor pressure is dependent on temperature. This P is nothing but vapor pressure. So there is a logarithmic relation between vapor pressure and temperature. I hope it is clear. So what is vapor pressure? How vapor pressure? What are the factors which affects vapor pressure? I hope all these things are crystal clear to you. Okay, good luck.